I don't know. I don't know if I can do that or not. They need help. People need it. So
It's true. Number 12, we've really covered. It's those, fundamental basics of a great sales message, but maybe you just want to remind people of the 4 elements.
And it's basically, it's a conversation where you say, here's who I am, here's what I've got for you, here's what it'll do for you, in other words, the features and benefits, things like that, and here's what you need to do now. That is often the most important part of it is, here's what you need to do now. You need to press this button, you need to take this trial offer, you need to get this free report, you need to come with me on the adventure, or the boat leaves without you.
Yeah. The 13 is a big one, and you call it huge promise. And I notice in almost all your ads, there's a giant, huge promise. How important is it? How do you decide what that promise is?
If you can't go into business being meek.
Yes.
I'm sure that they will inherit the world at some point, but they're not going to do well in business, especially not right now. So you need to be bold. You need to make sure that your promise stands out. Now, a lot of times, this is the easiest way around heavy competition, is they're offering this, this, and this for this amount. You offer this, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, you'll deliver it sooner for cheaper, and you have a better guarantee.
So it's stacking as a big part of your huge promise sometimes. Is that true?
We call it piling on. Stacking is an excellent word for it, but if you have an unbelievable offer, that's okay as long as they believe you enough to give it a try.
Got it.
But what's the old thing? It's too good to be true. You got to watch that. But if it's too good to be true, and if you're telling the truth, I absolutely want this. That's where you want. You want that sense of wonderment, that sense of tap. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was thinking about that famous ad for the guy going down to the South Pole. Do you remember the headline? It was in 1900 or something. He says, adventure is needed. Long, hard months at sea, danger and pain almost guaranteed, return doubtful. It was one of the first British guys to explore the South Pole, I believe.
Right.
And he ran that ad, and he filled his crew out that way because he knew,
That's what we needed too.
If he's trying to if he wants somebody, do you want to go on a sailing trip? He goes, yeah, I want to go on a sailing trip. Well, the more it comes out, just know who you're after and match. It's a message to market match.
14th one is reverse risk, which just your checklist that we talked about before. What keeps people from doing it is risk. So I'll take the risk, or I'll double take the risk, whatever the case may be, which we've covered. 15 though is I think what you're really known for as well, which is turbulence, creating that agitation, that turbulence in people. You mentioned you like doing it. How do you do it? How do you produce this turbulence in people that makes them come out of their sleepy world and need to really, get your product or service, do business with you?
Well, you have to understand the market. So this gets back to understanding the person and being. Once you have your voice and you understand your prospect and you understand what's going on, then you be that guy who says the things everybody's thinking but doesn't want to say, or you get into the areas that maybe I want to get into but I'm afraid to, or maybe you just give me a chance to wander into a part of the world that I wouldn't otherwise go into.
Give me an example.
Well, it's just like it could be hunting. Say you're a hunter. I don't hunt, but say you are a hunter. Your wife doesn't hunt. Your kids aren't into it, your neighbors aren't into it, and you don't have any. You live in Los Angeles. There's not a lot of hunting going on there.
Yeah, I guess
so
that.
Suddenly you come along. You say, hey, here's. I'll let you. We talk about hunting a lot, and if you only get away once a year, that's fine. You can come along, and maybe you can only go once every couple of years and just get into this world and find out. We're going to talk a lot about it, and you get to explore your passion and stuff.
Right.
But imagine talking about it like hunters really do it. I think that's a bad example because, it might get gory and stuff. But you just say the things that other people wouldn't say. Political correctness or any kind of correctness has no place in the world of really starting relationships with prospects. That's why I like to shock people.
Again, that's really great. So why does it bring a relationship closer to shock someone?
It's kind of like I bring everything back to dating. It's relatively easy to get a phone number for somebody. You're not sure if it's a real one or not, but you can't get a number. But you can't ask somebody on the first date to marry you. I mean, they have to know you a little better. They have to do some stuff. Yeah. And what's the old saying about whether it's a man or a woman? You want to see how they treat waiters. You want to see. This is the great one. You want to see how they react when they're cold, wet, tired, lost.
Right.
And what was it? There was another one. Cold, wet, tired, and lost, I think.
Yes.
And hungry.
Yes.
how do they react? You know, how are they then? You want to see that.
Right.
That's deepening the relationship. So a smart person relating that back to business might just get right into it, you know?
Right, just to stimulate it.
Go right there. Just go where you didn't think that they were going to go, knowing that I really want to go there.
Right. Right. Let me grab one here. This is a perfect example of your turbulence. You know, your headline is, "Now it's your turn to finally discover for free why so many of the world's happiest couples insist on these explosive, large letters, forbidden sex secrets."
Right.
They're the key to quickly recharging the passion, intimacy, and super exciting romance in your relationship. Get ready to take your lovemaking beyond the bedroom and beyond the ho-hum routine and way beyond the basics. Hi. And then you begin the letter. So, in each of yours, you know, there's another one in here that I see that's how a skinny little golf genius from California accidentally started hitting 425-yard tee shots, the young man you're talking about. How you can profit from the coming stock market crash and financial bloodbath caused by cash-rich drug dealers and other criminal scum. I mean, some of this stuff is pretty intense. How to create a damn good money-making ad for your business in just 9 minutes.
Right.
In each of these, you're making these large promises, you go deep and you produce this turbulence. The last 2 steps you talk about is making sure you knock them off the fence, which we talked about, and the final step of just closing. But whenever you look, when you're writing these ads, tell me something. Are you concerned ever that the type of ad you're writing that is so intense like that is pushing people away? Or is part of your goal to say, those are the people I want to push away, that's not my market? How do you think about those things?
If you're not getting complaints about what you've written, you're not pushing hard enough. If you don't have about a 7 to 12% refund rate, you're not pushing hard enough.
Tell me why. Help me understand.
Well, it's just most people will go out there and try not to offend.
Right.
So they wind up being bland and out there. There was a guy, Dave Lacani, is a marketer that I know. He actually talks from the stage about polarizing the audience, and he will go up there when he talks, and he will polarize people right away by swearing or doing something. Because polarized people, he says, buys, and there's a lot of truth to that. Passive people, just kind of happy and sitting there, you can't get them to act.
Right.
Now, as far as this forbidden sex secret thing, that's a great example. This was for the largest mailer in the world. And they usually
Who was that?
Rodale.
Rodale.
They usually do.
Rodale put this out?
Yes, they usually.
This is a Rodale ad.
Oh yeah. Now listen,
Wow.
they usually do gardening.
Yes,
and,
I know.
And
Prevention Magazine.
Prevention Magazine and health stuff, and they had the diets and things like this. So they come up with this product. I often talk about it. I would have loved to have been in that meeting. You know, they go, well, we need to break into some new markets. And somebody goes, how about sex? And they all run screaming from the room because these are nice little people in Pennsylvania, you know, near the Amish land. Well, what they did is they came to me because they had heard about my reputation as an edgy guy.
Right.
But now this actually ties in with entrepreneurs, so just bear with me for a minute. They brought me in because I had a reputation as an edgy guy from a lot of other stuff I'd written, like the golf magazines and things like this. I shocked people. So they bring in, they go, none of our staff writers and none of our other freelancers have been able to make this work. And they go, you got to dance a line. Now, what these are books and or DVDs that they created that actually make your life better. These are by actual doctors, not people posing as doctors, real doctors from Johns Hopkins and stuff, and Harvard researchers and stuff. So it was great stuff. And they're trying to sell it as really nice stuff from real doctors and people from Johns Hopkins and Harvard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I go, wow, I wouldn't buy that. So I came in, I said, you know what this really is? It's forbidden sex secrets. So I went in, I did this, and they all swore.
What was the original title? I'm just curious. The way they ran the ads.
Oh God, I don't. But it was like how to spice up your intimacy with your significant other. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I come in, I do this, and I knew I was onto something because they didn't want to mail it. Now this was not the first one I wrote. This is like the third one I wrote because it created a whole section that they were going to write. The first one I wrote was actually called "The Amazing Sex Secrets of the Happiest, Most Respected, and Something Lovers in the World." And they fought me on that tooth and nail. They didn't want to mail it, and in fact, they refused to mail it. They were outraged. I remember I just said, okay, that's gone. They paid me, and they said, go away. Well, there was somebody there in the organization who had a little bit of salesmanship, and she snuck it into the rotation, and it beat their top writer and mailed for 5 years. Now, the normal life of a direct mail letter is 6 months. That's the average life of a good winning direct mail piece.
Wow.
This one went for 5 years. And so they kept coming back to me because they thought it was something I was doing that was magical or something. It's not. And these are the kind of ads that people online, when they came online, entrepreneurs start taking and ripping off. They'd say, well, okay, now I get it, because they'd read my blog and they go, it's not magic, it's not. Just start to talk inside the head of the person doing it.
Yeah.
Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid you're going to offend somebody.
Right.
Go ahead and offend some people.
Right.
You know, I talked a lot about when I first put out my newsletter, which has now morphed into the blog, but it was a monthly mailed newsletter. And the first couple that went out, I got, I was sending out to Halbert's List and Abraham's List and some other lists. I got letters back from people saying, John, you need to stop this right now. You're being way too aggressive. People don't want this, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote back to them, I said, you are the kind of guy that everyone else is waiting to leave the room so we can have some fun. And I have people that have stuck with me for, that newsletter went out for, I believe, 6 years, monthly, every year. People still come up to me with tears in their eyes. I wish you were still doing the newsletter. It took me a long time. They're like little mini novels, and I just go off on stuff. Wow. And they wanted it. And that was like, even top marketers, they told me, I get a lot of newsletters. Yours is the only one that as soon as it comes, I go off in the room, I tell the wife to leave me alone, and I sit down and I read it, because I took them on a little adventure. Now I'm teaching people how to do the same thing. Right. Give yourself permission to say what needs to be said. Just be the guy that's going to do it. Yes. Tony, just to put this in context, for my entire career, I was the young punk at the table whose job it was to irritate the older guys. I had a problem with authority. I did not suffer fools, and I would not stand for bull BS at all. Yeah. And one day, I kind of blinked. I look up, and now I'm the oldest guy at the table. And all these guys online, they're all in their 30s and their 40s, and it's just, they found kindred souls. A lot of, by the way, for entrepreneurs, a lot of people found, I've been at many, many meetings where I now ask routinely, I'll sit next to people, I go, how many people at the table here were diagnosed with ADHD or had some kind of learning disability when they were growing up? 90% of the people raised their hands. That's right. They would not be working if it wasn't for the web. That's right. They would not fit in the corporate world. They did not get along with others. They did not play well in the sandbox. Right. They had all this stuff going on.
They broke all the rules.
But as long as they were in here where they could just say, look, here's what's going on, and they could write as themselves, and they didn't have to meet anybody else's expectation, because it's their business, because you're an entrepreneur. Right. My God, it opens up everything. It changed the world. Yes. And of course, as you well know, a lot of the best marketing guys, they didn't finish high school because they were diagnosed as learning disabilities. They're geniuses. They're wizards. Yeah. They're marvelous people. They're great to hang out with.
So what I'm hearing from you is this whole idea of the message all comes down to your ability to just have some damn fun and try stuff you wouldn't normally do, to trust yourself, to find whatever that voice is, whatever it looks like, and keep changing until you find what works, that it's really just being a little salesperson, that it's really understanding that at the core of it all, it's just answering a few questions for people in a sequence that makes it really work, and having a damn good time and trying shit nobody would probably think of ever doing, and you become the most successful, letter that goes out for, 6 straight years. It's pretty damn exciting. The core that I'm getting out of this conversation, because besides all the steps you've given us, is people got to really tap back into their passion, and they got to understand that it isn't about writing so much, and it is about connecting with your passion, something you believe in, and then delivering it in a way where people hear your real voice, and then pushing them over the edge.
And don't worry about the people that are going to turn their nose up at what you got. If what you have is going to help somebody in the room, and I mean the room, somewhere in the web, whether it's on the grid or whatever, in your audience, if it's going to help that person, then you're doing something. And that's what people come back to me and make that first sale, or they make that first batch of sales, or they actually realize there is a community out there that was waiting for what they had, that just was an unmet need. It just changes their life. Now they have a niche, they have a reason. And boy, that passion, that stuff just starts skyrocketing, because they are able to indulge as much as they want with people who want them to indulge more and more. And that's why I say, if you can't write, slang is great. Just having a regular conversation, and don't worry about offending people. Just stand up and say, I'm about to offend a whole bunch of people. So if you get offended easily, you might not want to read the rest of this message or watch the rest of this video. I'll give you a minute to turn this off. Okay, everybody else left? Okay, we're going to have some fun here. Here's what I've got for you. And it could be a dandruff cure. It could be how to groom your dog at home, or how to cut their toenails or something. It doesn't matter because the people have a need, you're fulfilling it, and go off to the races. Life should be fun. You've been teaching this for years. How often do you go into corporate boardrooms where the guys are filthy rich, smoking cigars and stuff, and their lives are so dull, their wives don't like them? Real quick, I have the a story of the 29th auto store. I was sitting in Miami Beach with Halbert after a seminar, and one of the attendees sat down, and this guy was overweight by 100 pounds or so. I happened to know that his wife hated him, his kids were alienated from him, and he was unhealthy and he was boring, and he sat down, and we're watching, and the palm trees are wafting in the breeze, and gorgeous Brazilian women are walking by topless, and it's evening in South Beach, and we're sitting there, and all this guy could talk about was opening up his 29th auto supply store. So I listened just a bit, and I said, I'm sorry, I got to go. And I went to another table. I just left him there. And I thought, what's that quote from the Bible? What if you gain the world and lose your soul? What does it profit a man? Yeah. It's just, my God, this world is a feast out here. This is so much to enjoy. Don't be looking through the frosted glass from the outside. Nobody's going to invite you in.
Yes.
Take control, get in there, start making it happen. It's simple things, learning how to write, means that you have removed the constraint of having to hire somebody to do it or wait until it gets done or do all this stuff. It can be part of the process. As you create, as this stuff's going off in your head, you can actually get it down and edit it later and kind of fix it up and be yourself and have your own voice. And just know that, okay, I got to sell. I can't be weak about this. I have to be forward. I have to be a little... aggressive is not the right word, just forceful. Just let people know that you're not going to let them off the hook. You need this, you've agreed you need this. Why aren't you getting it now? You really need it now. I'm the guy to deal with. You don't risk a damn thing. You're going to get all your money back if you don't like it. Just do it. Just come on board. Train's leaving though, and you got like just a couple of minutes here and you're going to be left forever. And I'll bet there's a lot of opportunities that have passed you by just exactly like this.
He's talking to you right now. He's talking to you that if after this session you aren't even more passionate about going out and putting together a whole new experience of your sales process and sales copy and learning more. I hope that you'll take advantage of this. And what is your website for the first website that you'd send people to if they want to take the next step?
Probably my blog, and it's john-carlton.com, JOHN-Carlton.com. Don't go to johncarlton.com. He's a woodworker in Boston. Turns out there's a lot of us out there, but if you Google my name, John Carlton, you'll find the sites. The first one was the blog. 5 years of archives there. It's all free. Wonderful stuff.
Plus, we're going to do our little web portion with them as well for those who are doing the extensive program. So you are passionate. You're a pleasure to be with. You're incredibly generous.
Tony,
thank you so much, John.
It was fun. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.